What is up, Impact Heroes? Welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Rick Ornelas. Thank you for spending some time with us today because we know time's a valuable resource and we're going to make it worth your while. I appreciate each and every one of you, not just for listening, but for who you are. I know you're sparking change to make the world a better place every day, and I am humbled and grateful for your efforts. It takes all of us doing our part to spread positive change, and that's what this show is all about. Motivating you with stories of struggle, courage, and hope to empower you to make a difference in your life and the lives of others. Hey, hero community. We are looking to feature more amazing social impact heroes on our show, and I'll bet all you listeners out there know a few that deserve to be recognized. If you or anyone you know should be on our radar, then you absolutely have to nominate them to be an iSpark Change social impact hero. Just click the link in the show notes below to help us find out about more people that are doing great things. Welcome back, Impact Heroes. I'm excited to be here for another episode where I will share some of the lessons I have learned along my journey. Part of sharing is because our stories connect us all. You've heard me say that before. And also because I feel it's my duty to elaborate on what has helped me in hopes that it can help one of you. Last month, I explained the to-do list for every day. That was the list of things that I wanted to live my life by, what I wrote after the accident 21 years ago. That's been the guiding post for how I've sought to live my life for the past 21 years. Well, for today, I'm going to share a bit of a different list because while I'm sure some of the to-do list resonated with many of you, I'm guessing some of you don't want a list of 12 rules. Am I right? And while these things look great on paper, I understand that they may not be easy to always abide by. When I've spoken to groups of teens or young adults, when I do some speaking, I've shared this list, and I'm often asked if I could go back in time to my younger self, would I give him this list? And the answer is actually no. Instead, I would give myself a ToDont list. All right, not a to-do list, but a ToDont list, because number one, I feel it's more valuable with the challenges that many of you face today. We're in a different world than when I was, at 30, 40 years ago. And number two, I want to help you create purpose in your life. The things that I'm about to share, these are things that have helped me create purpose in my life. And number three is because the easiest things for us to follow are often the simplest. So I want to give you some simple, tangible tools that you can put into use right away. All right, so here are my three to-don'ts. Number one, don't care what other people think. I know this is tough for anyone at any age, but we go through cycles in life. When you're 3 or you're 5 years old, you don't care what anyone thinks. You run around naked, you dance and sing, you're carefree. You could care less, right? But then you hit those preteen and teen years, and then maybe till about 20 or even 30, you suddenly think all eyes are on you and you're worried about what everyone else thinks. That becomes the most important thing in the world. And it may lead to things in your life, especially today with social media and the always on world that we live in. It may lead to FOMO, to the fear of missing out, because you see something on social media and you're like, oh no, I should be there. I need to do that. And you want to join in. Or imposter syndrome, where you're suddenly at, let's say you're at an event or you're at a game or you're at a party, and you're like, oh no, wait, I don't belong here. All these other people, they know more than me, or they're cooler than I am, and I shouldn't be here. Or you look on social media and you're constantly comparing yourself to others. You have comparisitis. You're just always comparing, looking at you compared to someone else. Or one that was big for me was perfectionism. You didn't want to take action. You'd get, analysis paralysis. You don't take action. And I know for me that happened a lot, is where I would just not take action because I was worried about something being perfect and worried that I wasn't going to do it well enough. And the reality is that, there's never going to be a perfect time. You just have to take the imperfect action. You just have to start. You just have to start somewhere. And if you don't care about what other people think, it's a lot easier to start. Because when you get a little bit older, like yours truly, once you hit, 30, 40, maybe you realize it's really not that important what other people think. And when you hit 50 or 60, you realize, guess what? They were never really paying attention in the first place. And this is actually a proven fact in psychology. It's called the spotlight effect, which is where we feel that all eyes are on us. All eyes are on you. And what research has shown is that that's actually not the case, is that people are actually far more focused on themselves, that they don't have time to focus on others. That's just the reality. Number 2, don't make excuses and take personal responsibility for anything. Don't blame anyone else. You can't be upset by the results that you don't get from the work that you don't do. Good or bad, you want to own it and you want to be proud of it. And I know this is tough, and it goes back to the perfectionism, because for most adults, if you're heading somewhere and you hit traffic and you get there and they're like, "Oh, why are you late?" You're like, "Oh, well, there was traffic." But guess what? Whose fault is that you're late? It's your fault that you're late. It's not the traffic's fault. Yes, there may have been traffic, but you should have anticipated. You should have left earlier. You should have understood. I remember, one story that comes to mind for myself is when I was in college, I had procrastinated and waited until the last minute to study for a final and do a research paper that were both due the next morning. And I think this was my final semester at USC. And these things were due, and I was hungry. I went to this little burger stand. I got myself this burger with like avocado and all this stuff on it. Guess what? I got food poisoning. Blech. I don't know if you've ever had food poisoning, but it is awful. You never want to have food poisoning. I've had it 3 times in my life that I can remember, and they were all terrible. But the next day, who did I blame the next day when I went into the professor and said, "Yeah, I can't really do my final. I don't have my research paper"? I blame the food poisoning. I blame the restaurant. And for a lot of people, they'd say, "Yeah, well, they shouldn't have given you bad food or tainted food." But whose fault was it that I wasn't done? It was my fault, because I left it to the last minute. I procrastinated and waited till the night before when everything was due. And as I said, this took me a while to learn, but one of my mentors taught me years ago. He said, the day you grow up is the day you learn to take personal responsibility for everything. So good or bad, own it. Once in a while, they'll be bad. There'll be plenty of good times, but always own it and don't make excuses. And the third one, don't be afraid to fail. Make mistakes and learn from every experience. Who out there that's listening likes to fail? I know I sure didn't. I know when I was younger, I was very competitive. I was cocky. I did not want to fail. It was always success or nothing. But guess what? Failure is the greatest teacher we have in life. Because when you fail, you learn, like Thomas Edison, 999 ways not to make a light bulb. And feedback, as Jim Quick says, one of my coaches, he says, feedback is the breakfast of superheroes. And with that feedback, you can grow, because with struggles comes strength. From challenges comes courage. Worry becomes wisdom. Obstacles you can turn into opportunities. And in doing so, you turn all that adversity into advantages. And for me, I've had to learn these things the hard way over many years. That's why I'm sharing it with all of you, in the hopes that you'll take it and it'll be some wisdom for your ears, and that you will learn something from this ToDont list. Because it may take going through life situations to learn and to grow and to fail and to experience these things on your own. But I'm hoping that what I've shared can help you define your purpose. Because for me, this helped me to create my purpose, to love and to give and to serve. And if you're out there, if you're still creating your purpose, or you still don't know what that looks like for you, then hopefully the ToDont list of my 3 things of don't caring about what other people think, of don't making excuses, and don't be afraid to fail, that those will resonate with you and they'll help you to create purpose in your life. So I thank you for taking time to let me share my heart with all of you. God bless you, and I'll see you next time. Remember, Impact Heroes, every positive action can be a spark moment that has a ripple effect that spreads far beyond the initial act. So go out there and spark change. Don't forget, if you enjoyed this episode, then please smash that 5-star rating on iTunes or Spotify and leave a review. We value your comments and we want to hear from you in the community. Thank you for listening. God bless you, and we'll see you next week on the iSpark Change podcast.